Hello, my name is Elizabeth from KMTL Event. Welcome to episode 9 of KMTL Artist Spotlight. I'm so honored to have with me today Tuesday. So to begin, could you please introduce yourself, your stage name, background, and where were you born and raised?
Hi, my name's Tuesday. I am a producer, a singer, songwriter based in Toronto, born and raised in Toronto, and I'm Filipino-Canadian.
Nice to meet you. How did you come up with the name Tuesday?
So my last name is or Tuesday, and it's sort of like getting rid of the or part. The name Tuesday also it sounds pretty much like the day of the week, like Tuesday in English. And that was like an alias that I've used in the past. But as an artist name, having a day of the week is pretty hard, as you can imagine. Like people have like copyrighted it and stuff like that. So this is the next best thing. And it's closer to like my actual last name, so can't be mad about that. Yeah, that's how I came up with Tuesday.
I see. And by chance, did your singles come out on a Tuesday?
Oh, I actually don't remember. I think the first one did, Reach did, which was intentional, and I think the second one did not. And I don't remember why I didn't do that.
Maybe for your future singles on a Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's my strategy going forward, yeah.
And how long have you been involved in music, and when did you first discover your passion for this art form?
I would say music has really been part of my life, or it's been part of my life my whole life, really. A lot of it started actually like when I was early preteen, like teenage years, and I was playing a lot of rhythm games like Guitar Hero or like Rock Band or Tap Tap Revolution. That sort of opened this world of like music to me, but also like rhythm games in general. So that was kind of cool. But Rock Band specifically, like that really inspired me to like want to learn like an instrument. And so I actually started taking drum lessons because of that game. As sort of time went on, like I learned different instruments, different genres, because Rock Band's pretty like rock based. And I moved on to like different genres, different instruments. And at one point I even like learned like how to use like a DJ controller when I was like 12 or something like that. Which I would actually like love to get learn how to get back into, like using a DJ controller and all that stuff. Yeah, like I was just like very interested and curious and passionate of just like all these different instruments and all these different genres. And for me, it was just, having a good time and, entertaining people. And so that's where that sort of passion comes from. Around early COVID time, like that's when I started to learn how to produce like my own music. I'm using a DAW. So yeah, 2020 COVID time is when I started like learning how to produce, but music's been a part of my life the whole time basically. So
And did you ever do like those street performances on the piano at the mall or even anywhere else?
I didn't do like street performances like the mall, but I did have a couple like recitals, I guess you can call them, for the drums. And I've done a couple of like high school concert gigs as like the drummer. And then I was also part of like music class and they did like shows around for like other schools. So I was part of that. But nothing in like they were pretty much confined to like school. They weren't really like out in like the public image, the street, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would have been cool if I were to do that at the time too, because I had such confidence in like my drumming skills at the time that like I could impress people, but never got really the chance to. So yeah.
Were they for grades or it was basically by your own choice?
Yeah, so it was a class that like I did have to take as part of my curriculum, but there were like different instruments that you were like allowed to choose. You could choose like the trumpet or like the saxophone or the bass guitar. And because I knew how to play drums the most, like myself and my teacher encouraged me to stick to the drums and like percussion just because I was well versed and comfortable with that. I think if I did like the trumpet or like a woodwind instrument, I would be like really awful, but I would be learning something new. It was something that my teachers actually decided to push me towards to stay within the drums.
Would you say that one of the reasons why you continue to pursue a career in music would be your teacher, or would there be like something else?
I wouldn't say my teacher, not, actually, I mean, my teacher like was really cool in terms of like music. Like they were probably the nicest teacher that I've had in like high school. But I think, what really like inspired me to like want to actually pursue a career is like my favorite artists, like really like, my favorite artists like are Porter Robinson, like Marion. and this Norwegian producer named Lido. They just make like such good and emotional music, and like I've wanted to make music the way that their music made me feel. And so that's just sort of where it stemmed from. And honestly, like my mom was the one that encouraged me to, or first, my mom was the one that allowed me to play these rhythm games as like a video game, right? But she was also the one that like enabled me to like take these drum lessons and instrument lessons. And she like worked really hard as like a single parent. Like she worked really hard to like get me to afford those kind of lessons. And so part of that was like, I don't want this like skill that not only I find like super duper fun, but like an activity and skill that she worked so hard for me to try and learn. Like I didn't really want that to go to waste. And you know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of, I guess, potential that like I did have. And I'm like, I can use this for actually making music and pursue that like as a real thing.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
Since you live in Canada, I wanted to know a little bit more about what ways does your Asian heritage shape your artistry? Could you discuss the challenges you face related to this background throughout your career?
For some more context, like I mentioned that I'm Filipino-Canadian and I grew up in Canada. I grew up in a predominantly Chinese community. I predominantly listened to, at the time at least, predominantly listened to non-Asian music or music by non-Asian artists. And I consume predominantly like Japanese and Korean media. As you can see, like me living in Canada and all the experiences that I've had, there's a lot of cultural influences that I've had from different like Asian cultures and stuff like that, right? For me, one of the biggest challenges that I have and still have is really this idea of identity. Who am I as a Filipino hyphen in a Canadian country or Canadian city? So it always boils down to, you know, identity, but then also like being in between and like I don't want to say code switching, but like just being like in between like cultural influences, like my Filipino influence versus like the Japanese influence that or the Chinese influence because of my environment, right? Even though like being Filipino is like to my knowledge, like a historically mixed race, like I always feel like I'm in between identities, in a way. So that's one of the challenges that like I have. And part of me wants to, you know, dig deeper and connect with like my ancestral like roots, and like through my music and through like art and all that stuff. But like part of me also wants to genuinely and like sincerely make the music that I'm actually like really into and that I want to put out to the world. And so sometimes there's a conflicting like identity there. And so yeah, it's really up to identity for me in terms of like my cultural influences and like Asian influences. And that's something that I still have a challenge today.
And especially with like so many social influences as well. And like you said, the consumption of Japanese music. So through the internet, there's just so
Yeah.
much going on. So I do understand as well how it's challenging to figure out an identity.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that maybe through your music career moving forward that you'll actually find this identity? And how do you feel that you'll be expressing that?
I think a lot of it right now for me in my mind, it's like this conflicting of identities. And like right now I'm seeing that as like an influence, but also like as a bad thing because like I want to commit to like a solid identity. But I also see that like maybe I just need to like come to this realization that like that's not a bad thing and that's actually a good thing. And I can create something unique and interesting and relatable in that way by like leaning into, you know, the fact that I have so many cultural influences as my identity to be my identity, right? Like that defining like feature, I guess. It is hard though because like right now I think I can say that that might be a strength, but like when I'm like in the weeds when I'm doing it, like it's a challenge, you know what I'm saying? And so I do try to incorporate some of that like different influences of identities in like my music. Like if you've listened to some of like my music, like there's definitely like, you know, traditionally like white like EDM producer like music, but then there's also like Japanese J-rock like influence in there too, like 100%. And you know that's sort of how I try to incorporate it into music in some way. At this point, like I'm not fully like satisfied in like the answer of like what my identity is currently. And hopefully that's something that I figure out further down the line and stuff like that. And maybe I don't. And maybe that's the beautiful part of like not knowing of this identity. I'm still always figuring it out, but at least that's what I can say for right now. So yeah.
For sure. I think figure out an identities will always be a struggle, but we'll see what the future holds, right?
Yeah, for sure.
How would you describe the style of music that you want to gravitate towards? And how would you describe your sound to someone who've never heard your music yet, but yet to discover?
Yeah. I feel like I think about this a lot. I think the easiest or the most concise way I can describe it is in a blanket statement. It's like electronic dance music and electronic pop music meets like emotional tension. And that emotional tension can come from the sounds that you hear, or it can come through the lyrics, or it could be the tone of my voice or something like that. And that tension can come through duality or through contrast, like just varying different sounds that probably wouldn't sound good together, but like it somehow works and fits together. And I guess an example is like I really like jumpy, upbeat beats. But like the lyrics are a little bit more vulnerable and like emotional, and like maybe you wouldn't even like realize until you like actually read the lyrics and stuff like that. But something like that is the music that I gravitate towards, and like music that like I always sort of want to like make, just so like there's some sort of contrast tension and emotional tension there, I guess. If I want to like really simplify it, like it's just like electronic pop music and dance music with emotional tension and emotional aspects to it. So
And please correct me if I'm wrong. From doing some research, you made your debut under the name Tuesday with your first single Reach in 2005 October. Can you share your creative process for this project? Like, were there other songs that we released before this, or this was really like the first song?
yeah, there were other songs that like I've released under a different alias, but this was like the first under Tuesday and the first under like actually like pursue music as a career. The process of that like really started on the piano, as a lot of my songs do. Like I start trying to create either chords or melodies on the piano. It's funny because this one, so me and my partner, like we were like about to leave to like go somewhere and like go out. I was just playing the piano just randomly, just like waiting to see before we had to go. And I accidentally came across this like chord progression, and I just kept playing it over and over again on the piano. And I was like, I instantly knew, I'm like, this has the potential to be an absolute like hit. I have to like make this a real thing. And because like it was just on the piano, like I had to note it down somewhere before like the idea like disappeared from my memory. And so like I opened up my DAW, and like I had to like write in the notes on there before like it was gone. And my partner got upset with me because she was like, we're going now, but like I have to wait for you now. Let's go. And I was like, okay, but I need to get this because like this is a hit. Like it has potential to be a hit. So that's how it really started. The vision for the song early on though was always, how do I make it as big as I could, and how as huge as I could make it possibly sound. I was listening to like a lot of 2010s EDM music at the time, stuff like Clarity and stuff like Language. Like those songs were like super big songs, and songs that like were made by like my musical heroes. And so like I really wanted to like imitate that in a way where I felt like my musical heroes. Like that's also part of the intention too. I wanted to feel like I was like my musical heroes in this moment, but like also like make it my own in a way. So that was like the vision and the creative process. I wanted to feel like my musical heroes, and I wanted to feel like I've made it through that song. And so that's why I like tried to make it like as big and as huge as I possibly could. So yeah, that's about Reach.
Was it like the main character moment in a movie where you just know all will be well?
Yeah, no, you're right. Like it definitely was. I was just like, I needed to like stop time in that second, just because I was like, this is like the turning point. I felt like was like the turning point in like my main character journey. And like I just had to like do it no matter what. But you're right. Like it was definitely like a main character moment there. Yeah.
I see. What would you say some of the main challenges were during this process?
Yeah, so honestly, a lot of the challenges that came with Reach actually came after like I made the song. Coming up with the song and the production of it was a little bit on the easier side, to be honest. I guess like writing some of the lyrics because there isn't a lot, like I tried to like really distill it down and make it very concise. But a lot of the challenges actually came after like the song was done, which I feel like as a lot of musicians actually encounter. It's like writing the music is not the hard part. It's like marketing it, putting your brand out there, it's building your audience so people actually care. So for me, like that was also the hard part because I had to learn all of this stuff too. And then all of the like non-music, non-marketing stuff too, like learning about platforms, learning about distribution and lyric syncing and all that stuff like no one typically would think about when like you're just listening to music casually, but stuff that's actually required for you to release music in general. Like I had to do like a lot of research and a lot of like browsing through Reddit and like forums just to know what to actually do. So that was a lot, that was a big challenge as well. For me, it was a lot of the post finishing the song that was like a really big challenge. I also like set out a specific deadline for myself for like the song and then a deadline for like me to finish all the stuff beforehand. And there was a lot of stuff. So like I was stressing out about that because it's like, oh, okay, I need to like have all the social media stuff ready and I'll have all these assets done beforehand just so like I don't have to worry about it the day of. I mean, I got through it, but like because it was the first time I was actually releasing something and putting it out there. Like I had to learn on the fly and I wasn't super prepared for it, but yeah, it was that was one of the learnings there too. So
It seems like such a big process like behind all of this. So I have so much respect for you for taking the time to do all of it.
yeah, for sure. It is like it's like not easy, especially as like an individual. I'm doing this all by myself. Like I don't have a team of like people to like help me do this. One day, like hopefully, but like, fingers crossed. As of now, it's all me. So it is a lot of work. But yeah, I appreciate that.
Of course. And what was like the thing that made you continue to pursue after this song, like as an artist under Tuesday?
I feel like when I actually made the song Reach, I actually had plans for a lot of other songs at the same time. And so for me, like Reach was like, okay, I have to finish this. And then I have to put out all these other songs because they feel like they live in the same universe. Like I can't just abandon this one song. There was more music that I had planned on the way. So I had to continue with that. There was also like, I guess, a personal experience where a few weeks after Reach came out, there was not a lot of streamers or listeners because like it's still fairly small in terms of my audience and the streaming numbers, right? But I went to my friend's party and she had a party at her house and it was a kamayan, which is like a Filipino communal style of eating where there's like banana leaves and like really long tables and stuff like that. It was in her backyard. They had a lot of people there that I didn't know. They had like a karaoke like projector going on like on the side of her garage because they were just singing. So I went to the party. I had a good time. And then I'm about to leave. I'm telling her, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go home now. And then she goes to everybody. She's like, hey, everybody, stream my friend's song. And I'm just like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, stream my friend's song. He has a song out. And they're like, wait, what? He has a song? Perform it. Let's listen to it. Perform it right now. And I don't know if these people were like drinking or like intoxicated or whatnot, or if they were just super friendly and they wanted to hear my music. Like I didn't know. It could have been either one. But they were like, yeah, let's perform it for us. And I'm like, okay, it's like mostly instrumental, so I can't perform it right now, but I pulled it up on YouTube. So I'm like, okay, fine. I have the song going. They're like, oh yeah, they're like vibing to it. It's like really nice. And then when like the beat drops and everything, like they all just start like jumping up and down, vibing and dancing, and then just like filming themselves do it to dancing to the song. And I was like, man, this song like literally came out like a few weeks ago. I don't know any of you, but like you guys are like dancing to my song right in front of me. It was super weird at the time, but like when I look back, I'm like, that was like such a special moment that like I sort of want to like take with me for like all the other like events and like releases, things that like I have of music that I have in the future because man, like those people like didn't know me, they didn't know anything about me. They just pulled up a song and they just started dancing and like chanting my name. And I was like, man, like, is this what it feels like to be alive right now? Because this is like so amazing. And so that experience is like something that I take with me and like will continue to push me to like continue to make music forever, honestly. It was so special. I don't even know if they remember that night, but like for me, like I remember it and it was special to me. Like they might like forget and all that stuff, but yeah, for me that was so special. So
And that's just the beginning as well. I'm sure you're gonna have so many more moments like that in the future when you get a bigger platform.
yeah, for sure. I hope so. And that's the hope. That's the plan.
I'm sure you'll go very far as well. I believe in you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So to continue, a month later, you released your second single, B. What inspired you to write this song, and were there any personal experience that shaped its lyrics?
Tell me why do I live on like this? Dry eyes, I know this is selfish. My soul is lifting off the ground. I'm not where I wanna be.
Similar to Reach, B actually came from a place of me wanting to make my own version of one of my favorite Daft Punk songs. And the only reason I know Daft Punk is because of my mom. So that's where it started. Like I really wanted to like make my own version of this Daft Punk song called Digital Love. The more that I worked on it, like the more it actually strayed away from the original plan of creating my own version of it. Probably good, but it came like more jumpy and like more funky, actually. And because I mentioned earlier that like, this stuff that I gravitate towards too, like has like emotional tension and all that stuff, vulnerable lyrics if it's a jumpy beat. So I started writing like lyrics that started to be a little bit more vulnerable and like a little bit sadder at the time actually. And so that's how it actually started. And the lyrics like had this whole like revision cycle, like the first lyrics like didn't end up being like the lyrics that I used. I don't also like want to outline like the experiences that I've had to inspire the lyrics to be because I feel like it'll be very obvious. And I also just want like listeners to like have their own interpretation to what the lyrics actually mean. So I'll leave it at that. But I will say, I started writing the lyrics after a tough day. Take that as you will.
I see. And would you say that you want your songs to maybe be a comfort song for your listeners, or would it be like a different message that you want to give out?
Yeah, I don't think comfort is the right way I would word it. I do think there is a sense of comfort in some of the songs that I'm writing. I do think there's a level of you've been in this scenario before, or like you've lived this experience before, and like you feel seen, and like you identify and you resonate with like what the themes are. I don't want to say comfort because I don't really feel like I'm actually giving advice through some of my songs. I'm just stating the experiences that I've had, and a lot of it is actually like unresolved stuff. I'm just naming out the experience and the emotion that I've had. I hope people like will listen to this stuff and they resonate and feel the same way that like, oh, like I identify with this feeling and this scenario. And it's not really giving me advice or anything like that. It's just bringing to light some of the stuff that like maybe I've never said or was too scared to say a tangible song and tangible format, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm in a place I can console people and like tell people what to do. So I don't want to say comfort in that sense, but maybe like a song that you can like resonate with and hopefully be feel seen by because it's a situation or scenario or a feeling you felt before.
So it's more a realization in that case.
Yeah, I would say so.
And when comparing both songs, Reach and B, what connections do you feel find in their storytelling and emotional depth?
I think both pieces or both songs are pieces to a larger story and a larger emotion, which is emotion of yearning and yearn and the idea of yearn. I think Reach, in my mind, because it's very much instrumental, like it doesn't really rely on lyrics and stuff like that. It really relies on the feeling of the song to get to pull you in emotionally. Whereas B, because it has more lyrics and is storyteller driven, like it relies on that. I also think B is more grounded in the present tense. Whereas for Reach, at least in my head, it feels more like this is what is possible in the future. Like this is future possibility. And so one is like more present based and lyric driven whereas one is like this is the feeling and this is like what's possible in the future. I do think both of them serve the emotion of yearn and yearning, and I guess that's something that I can talk about in like when I say like my EP, which is yearn, but they both serve that feeling just from different vantage points.
And speaking of the future, as we're stepping into the second month of 2026, what can fans expect a release of your first EP, and what should they look forward to in terms of sound and themes?
My first EP, Yearn, releases later this month. So there's that to look forward to. In terms of themes, like it really does center around this idea of yearn and yearning and, being this in-between state, having this realization that like, oh, this is where I am, but this is not exactly where I want to be in my life. And like, so how do I get there sort of thing? So it really centers around that idea of yearn. Yeah, if like fans can expect more like electronic dance music.
Dwell on what I lack. Chasing you was always this hard, but I loved you from the start. The waves withdraw.
And more like emotional depth driven songs that you can dance to.
I'll be looking forward to your EP.
Yeah, thank you.
Now I wanted to move on to your Instagram page. As you've expressed a desire to host your own festival one day, could you share your vision for that festival and how it would represent your musical journey? In which city would you like this festival to take place?
Oh man, I haven't thought that far ahead, like what city I would want it to be in, because it is such like a far-reaching goal. I'm gonna say right now, I always want to give love to the hometown of Toronto, so I'm gonna say Toronto. But because it's so far away, anything can happen, and I'm open up to like any other like city because anything can happen really. In terms of like my vision and what I dream of for this festival, I feel like when people say that they want like to have their own festival, I feel like they usually just talk about, oh yeah, like I want to have like a collection of like all my favorite artists like in one place where I can see them live and support them, right? I think that's something that I very much align with, but I also feel like there's this idea of like Disneyland or like Disney World where you can like apply that to like a festival where it's like these different lands or like different themed areas of like a festival. I'm sure like Coachella and like all these like other big music festivals, like they already do this or like they already think about it. But just the idea of like having like these specific lands or specific or like themed areas for like a festival, having IP, having like characters, music that everybody cares about, like I think that appeals so much to me. And like that would represent me as a person in like every aspect. I think that would be such a fun idea. And I know there are other people like out there in the world that feel the same way. I think that's just sort of the vision that I have for that. I know it's so much further down the line, but like guess because it's such a huge goal. I think then when I have that festival, then I can say, okay, like I made it. This is like the mountaintop for me. Like I have my own festival and I made it. So yeah, that's my dream for a music festival right now in Toronto, but can be open to anywhere.
It seems so exciting though with like all the ideas you have. So even if it takes me a plane or a train to go there, I would for sure go. It seems so fun.
Yeah, honestly, you would be on like the VIP list. I'll send you like a personal invite. You'll be there.
Thank you. And also you
Yeah.
mentioned like Disneyland, which is like the place of happiness. So would it be like a festival where you could also explore your inner childhood, like just having fun and being there, being present?
Yeah, like that's part of the vision. Like, because music festivals are very self-contained in like just the music aspect in general, right? Like festivals like Coachella, like you have music, but then you also have like art exhibits to a degree, right? I think that's cool, like if you want to take photos, but like I also think there's an aspect of like there's other stuff to do that you could incorporate into like a festival. And maybe that's rides, maybe that's just like more specific like themed areas that like specific like photo ops or like characters or something like centered around. Like it doesn't have to be just like this infinity mirror looking art installation because if you have like a themed area that like is based off of like an IP, like people resonate with that a little bit more than like just the sculpture that like no one has ever seen before. Yeah, that's part of the vision.
I really hope it happens. I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
Toronto and Montreal is so close together, and I wanted to know a little bit more of if you ever performed in Montreal before, if you traveled here, or what's the knowledge that you know about Montreal?
I love Montreal. I'm like Montreal is like my second favorite city outside of Toronto in Canada. I've been to Montreal. I haven't performed in Montreal ever, but I would love to someday. Like I don't have any plans in the near future. That could change, but as of right now, on my calendar, I don't have any plans. But I have been to Montreal a good amount of times for work, but also for like just vacation and like my own personal time. I always love visiting Old Montreal whenever I get a chance there. And sometimes it doesn't end up working out, but I do love visiting Old Montreal there because I think it's such a vibe. I know it's not technically Montreal, it's like outside of Montreal, but I also really want to visit Mont Tremblant because like especially in like the wintertime, do some snowboarding, just like see like the mountains and all that stuff. I have been during the summer, which is totally different. So like I would want to go there during the winter. I mean, I've also heard there's like, a fairly big like K-pop scene there, I think. I feel like Toronto, Montreal, and like Vancouver are like the big cities for like K-pop scene. And so like I've heard that that's a good scene in terms of K-pop there too.
May I ask if
Um,
you came to any events in Montreal related to K-pop in that case?
no, I haven't like at all. I've heard about it from a few friends. So,
No, yes, that is true. And as well, KMTL have participated in different food festivals, for example, Pocha, La Semaine.
oh, okay.
So it is true. There's many K-pop events every week actually by different organizations. So it's really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't think so. Okay, it sounds, to my knowledge, at least, it sounds a little bit bigger than Toronto because I don't see like an event every week for like K-pop stuff here. At least to my knowledge, I might be completely wrong too. But yeah, I mean that's what I've heard for Montreal. So that's cool. And shout out to you guys.
Thank you. I think Toronto is very known for having K-pop concerts though. So maybe that's the difference of it. We don't have much concerts.
Oh, okay.
Pros and cons for both cities, as they all say.
Right, right, right.
Mhm. Do you know any French words or like when you pass by, maybe learn, pick up?
Man, so I did take French in school, and I'm very out of practice, so I do apologize. But one of the phrases or like the words that I do know that like have always stuck with me since like elementary school is tout le monde, which means like everybody or everyone, right? And the reason that like that stuck with me and that sort of like resonates with me, well, first off, like when I was in school, our teacher would say it, and there was like a weird like funny action that they would do when they're saying it. It resonates for me like time to time because as someone that makes music but also tries to curate experience for like an experience in general, like I do have to like think about everybody in some cases and like everyone because sometimes I do like want just everyone to have like a good time and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one of the few phrases and words that I resonate with and I can know in French. I think anything else is more joking than more of a actual serious phrase. So yeah.
Right? And do you know how to introduce yourself? Do you remember how?
Yeah, it's Je m'appelle my and then my name. So Je m'appelle Tuesday. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if ever you decide to perform in Montreal, I could just use that phrase. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Bonjour, je m'appelle Tuesday. What's Tuesday, like the actual day of the week in French again?
Mardi.
Mardi. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could use that too. I would come on that day and yeah, perform.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
As an Asian artist, what message or influence do you hope to spread through your music upcoming?
Again, like going back to like being this person that like always in between identities and this in between state, I want to have like this message that like if you're in the same boat, like that's valid, and maybe also that most of the time like, that's actually a good thing and not a bad thing that you have like all these like cultural influences, but still trying to root yourself in your like main cultural background. And so for me, that's like being Filipino. I also really want like people to listen to like my music and like sit in like whatever feelings that they feel and like feel like they can have permission to sit in those feelings, especially like when they like push it aside or like push it down or like brush it off, right? Like I think, just sitting and having that realization of like your emotions is like such a big step in terms of just like brushing it off, right? So there's that aspect. I also, feel like in terms of like influence on my music, like, I hope people feel like less like they're in the in-between state, but I also like hope that like people, if they listen to my music, that they feel seen. And if they feel seen and they identify and they resonate, then like, that I've done like a good job.
Go, Kylie, go. Good job, Kylie. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
So especially from that like identity Asian aspect. So yeah, that's sort of like what I want people to take away from all the stuff and the messages that I have. At the end of the day though, like I want people to interpret the music however they feel, and I can only do so much to make them feel the way that I want them to. But at the end of the day, like how they feel about it is completely up to them. So
For sure. Everyone have different interpretations and imaginations, like you said. It's really interesting
yeah.
to see.
Yeah, for sure. I do also want to say, because like as an Asian artist now, there are so many like Asian artists that exist today that like didn't exist like 10, 15 years ago, right? Like Asian artists, like Asian DJs or like groups and stuff like that, right? So I feel like part of me like also wants to sort of follow that path that they've laid out for us in terms of like, they've done all the hard work to like break through in the industry as like an Asian artist. And like I need to be able to be one of those people that follow their path and that they've laid out for us, and then hopefully and ideally help bring up the next generation, or be part of the next generation of Asian artists too, right? Because there's a lot of hard work that they've done beforehand, like just to get to where they are now, and give us the opportunity to be an artist that's like worth recognizing as an Asian artist. So
Would you like to shout out some of your favorite Asian artists?
I would like to shout out Knock 2 or ISO Knock. If I want to go like even further, like shout out to like all the Korean K-pop boy bands. There's not one specifically, but like they make Asian men look good. Hopefully, like I can look half as good as them one day, but they make Asian men look desirable. So yeah, that's a crush that I sort of want to lean on. But
You're already shining, so I'm sure continue going for it.
yeah, thank you.
Sure. For the next few years, what's the big goal that you have in mind? Like, for example, more EPs, more singles.
There's a lot of goals that I have in mind for like some of the very big ones, like the music festival is one of them. Having my first full like album is another. I also like really, really love anime and like animation. And so like it would be such a dream come true. Like if one of my songs had like an animated music video or like an animated short story, or was like an opening for an anime, or was like in the official soundtrack, or like just to be a part of that. That's one of like my goals too. But yeah, like I also do have like a very rough plan for like the next couple of years in terms of EPs and singles for the more upcoming future. Like there's a couple singles that I have planned out too, aside from the EP that's just coming out, and then a bunch of other EPs that I'm sort of planning and lining up. But yeah, that's sort of the vague plan that I have for the next couple of years, and hopefully it gets me a little bit closer to reaching one of my bigger goals of a festival or anime or a full album. So
I hope your goals do happen soon in near future. Never know, but I hope it will happen.
yeah, appreciate that. I really appreciate that. They're really big goals, but I'd rather just like dream a little bit bigger than, not big enough and work my way there. I appreciate you again giving me the opportunity to like have this sort of conversation, to like voice all this stuff out there, voice like all the stuff that's in my head that like nobody hears about. I really appreciate you and the team and for the time.
Of course, and I really appreciate you for taking the time as well for telling me your story. I love to hear more about it, especially since I feel like every artist have a story to tell, but I'm there for that. That's what I'm here for.
Amazing. No, that's awesome. Like I feel like a lot of people can like the world needs more people like you, like looking at the small artists, like trying to make their thing and tell their story, because the big artists like everybody knows already about them. So yeah, props to you, props to your team and you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Before we conclude this interview, I wanted to take a moment to move on to your cover art, since I'm sure it takes a lot of time to make. And both songs are relating to cloud. So could you please talk about the inspiration behind your art, as you said that your music is more upbeat? but what's the relation with clouds?
Not only do I love clouds in general, because I like looking up at the sky or even out the window when I'm on the plane, but to me, like clouds in the sky, specifically a blue sky, like when think of a blue sky, I think of something that's hopeful and something that's like optimistic, like a better world. When I say a better world in terms of like the music, like I'm envisioning a better version of me. A blue sky in terms of like a visual device, I guess you can call it. And like my music is really looking towards the future and what's possible. And so for Reach, like because it is about future possibility, we have a blue sky there. And with B, because story wise, B is like having this realization of like not being content with or just being discontent with my life, that a blue sky is like sort of this call to adventure to like something else and something different, something better. So that's the sort of the intention with the blue sky there. I appreciate that question though. Like that's a good question to ask, so thank you for that.
Thank you for answering, telling me as well. And they say clouds can spark our imagination by looking at different shapes. If you could float on a cloud and let your imagination run wild, what fun adventure you would dream up?
Okay, so I'm gonna take this a little literally. Like, so if I can fly and float on a cloud, I would actually just like, man, like I would just want to fly around the world and like traverse. Like, even though it's like clouds don't move very fast, in most cases, right? Just traveling the world, like watching people, observe people, just like view the parts of the world like would never be able to see. And maybe I'll bring a couple of friends along. Just like hop on this cloud, like just go watch like the sunset or like watch the ocean or something like that. And I don't think it would necessarily have to be like a specific destination that like I need to go to. Like, oh, like let's go to this country or and watch what's going on there. Like it's more about for me, it would just be more about like exploring, wandering, and just like seeing all like the beauty and the people like, in the world, that I wouldn't be able to otherwise. And I think for me, like that would be like a very good adventure in and of itself. Just like appreciating all like the small stuff that we have like today, now, rather than like trying to make something completely new and foreign to like our world. So I feel like that got like a little philosophical there at the end, but yeah, just want to see the world, travel, and watch people as I lie down on these clouds.
I really love the way you phrase it as well because like 2025 passed by like with a blink of an eye and so much has happened. So when you said that it's about just like appreciating the little moments and being out there exploring, I think that's something that I appreciate you as well for realizing and saying it to you.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, some of this, like, I feel like sometimes like I spit out like nonsense when it comes to like some of these things, but yeah, like I do think like the world moves in a very fast way, and just like experiencing and like appreciating just the small things in our lives, just like outside or in our house and stuff like that is like one of those small things that we take for granted. So yeah, for sure. And I appreciate that question too.
Of course, it gives me like I don't know if you ever watched the movie Up, but you know the house with the balloons?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that movie. And so maybe, yeah, maybe that's like maybe a less broken down house and, something less fragile than balloons. But I would definitely like take that as an example of me and my adventure.
When I was coming up with
Yeah.
that question, I was thinking of that. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. But yeah, I just feel like, because the house breaks down in like the movie, right? Or something like that. Or the balloons pop, or at least, right? Maybe something more stable than, and something that will last me a little bit longer than balloons. But
just being up there and wandering around.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Before we end this interview, is there anything that you would like to tell your listeners?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, my Yearn EP was my first EP under Tuesdays coming out January 27th. It's, I think, very true to the title, Yearn, but it's very true to like rhythm games and dance music, very true to like who I am as a person and the experiences that I've lived through. I think that's something that a lot of people have also experienced as well. I hope you guys take a listen. Hope you like resonate, feel seen. But most of all, like I just hope like you guys listen to it, you have fun. I do have more like singles planned coming up in this year, but we don't have a specific date and for that yet, but look forward to the EP first.
Thank you so much for your time today. That is all we have for you. All the best for your musical journey, and I'll be there to support you.
Thank you so much. I again really appreciate the time and the thoughtful questions that you've asked me, and thank you for giving me the time to allow to talk about it. Just thank you for the time as well. I really appreciate it.
Song in silence just to warm your